Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going deep on behavioral activation. I got to admit, when I first came across this, I kind of thought it was, well, just another self-help, like, buzzword, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then I started digging into the research and whoa,
Yeah,
this stuff is, like, seriously powerful.
it really is. I mean, behavioral activation, we call it BA. It's got, it's really grounded. It's got strong roots in behavioral psychology. It's not just, about thinking positive thoughts. It's about taking action, to make positive changes.
Okay, so let's break it down, for our listeners. What exactly is behavioral activation?
So, in a nutshell, BA is built around this idea. What we do directly impacts how we think and feel. So, if we want to start feeling better, improve our well being, we got to start by changing our behaviors.
So instead of like waiting around for the motivation to hit us, we take action and that kind of sparks the motivation.
You got it. It really flips the script on how we usually approach things. You're not just sitting around like hoping to feel better. You're taking concrete steps that are going to lead to positive change.
I love that. I mean, where did this idea even come from? Was there like some big aha moment in the research world?
It actually goes back to the work of Peter Lewinson back in the 1970s. He was studying depression, and he noticed something really interesting. People struggling with depression they weren't really engaging as much in activities they used to find enjoyable.
So they were like withdrawing from those things that used to bring them joy.
Exactly. And that got researchers thinking, could we encourage them to get back into those activities, and could that actually lift their mood?
That's a game changer. I mean, did the research back that up?
It did. There's a really important study by Jacobson and his colleagues back in 1996. And it showed just that BA was really effective in treating depression. And you know what? It was even compared to more complex therapies at the time, and it was really effective. And this really highlighted, the power of action in shaping our mood and our mental state.
Wow, that's impressive. It seems so simple, yet so powerful.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But how does this apply to like our listeners out there? I mean, if you're not dealing with like clinical depression, is BA still something that's relevant?
Absolutely. I think one of the coolest things about behavioral activation is just how broad its applications are. It's not just a therapy for depression. It's a really powerful tool for anybody, anyone who feels stuck or unmotivated or just wants to, be more productive and improve their well-being.
Okay, so you're telling me this could help me with that mountain of laundry I've been like avoiding.
It just might. So see, BA helps us break free from those vicious cycles where low mood, lack of motivation, and avoidance, they all feed into each other. It's kind of like a trap that we get caught in.
A trap. Okay, I got to hear more about this.
In BA, we call it the TRE, and it stands for Trigger Response Avoidance Pattern. So let's say your trigger is you're feeling overwhelmed by that huge pile of laundry. Your response is to avoid it, hoping that feeling will just go away on its own. But, the more you avoid it, the bigger that pile of laundry gets and the worse you feel. And that makes it even harder to even start.
Oof, that is so relatable. I think we've all been in that trap at some point. So how does BA help us break free?
That's where we go from trap to trap, trigger response, alternative coping. So instead of giving in to avoidance, BA says, hey, let's take a different path.
Okay, what does that path look like?
First, you got to identify your values and your goals.
Hmm.
What's important to you about tackling that laundry? Is it about, feeling more organized, maybe feeling proud of a clean space, maybe just having clean clothes to wear?
So it's about connecting with the deeper why behind the action, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, once you're connected with your why, you can start planning and scheduling activities that really line up with those values and, start small. Maybe it's just like sorting the laundry for 5 minutes or committing to washing one load a day.
Right, making it feel like manageable, setting yourself up for those little wins.
Exactly. And as you start taking those actions, even if they seem tiny, something really interesting happens. You start to feel a sense of accomplishment and your mood lifts a little bit and you get some momentum to keep going.
So BA isn't just about changing your behavior, it's also about changing how we think about taking action. We go from like feeling overwhelmed to feeling empowered.
You got it. That shift is so important. It's what helps us break out of those negative cycles and start building some positive ones.
I'm starting to see how this goes way beyond just doing laundry. It's like a whole new way to approach, well, life.
It really is. BA can be applied to so many areas. Work, relationships, personal goals, you name it. You can think of it as like a toolkit for creating positive change wherever you feel stuck.
So it's like a life hack,
Yeah.
but like backed by science.
Exactly. Let's say you're, struggling with procrastination on some big project at work. BA can help you break down that project into smaller, more manageable tasks and, make it feel less daunting.
I could definitely use some help with that. So how does breaking it down actually make a difference?
Well, a lot of times when we procrastinate, it's because we're so focused on how huge the task is, which triggers those feelings of being overwhelmed and just wanting to avoid it all. But when you break it down into those bite-sized pieces, you're shifting your focus to what you can control and what you can actually get done.
So it's like you're changing your perspective from I can't do this
Right.
to, okay, I can at least do this small part.
Right. And each step you take, no matter how small, reinforces this sense of progress and achievement, making it even more likely that you'll keep going. It's like creating a positive feedback loop that really motivates you to move forward.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like you're building momentum step by step.
Exactly. And, the more you practice using this approach, the more natural it becomes. It's
Mm.
almost like you're training your brain to focus on action and progress instead of getting bogged down in avoidance.
This is so fascinating. It really feels like we're just scratching the surface of like BA's potential.
Mhm.
What's on the horizon for this field? What are researchers excited about?
There's a lot of cool stuff happening. One area that researchers are looking into is combining BA with other therapies, especially for those more complex mental health challenges.
Hmm.
It's all about creating those more personalized and integrated treatment plans.
So not necessarily like replacing those other therapies, but like enhancing them, making them work even better.
Exactly. Another really fascinating area is how BA actually changes the brain. They're using neuroimaging techniques to, actually see how BA impacts those neural pathways and activity.
Wow. So they can actually see the physical changes that are happening in our brains when we use BA. That's incredible.
It is, and it's giving us, these really valuable insights into how BA works on a much deeper level. And, this research could help us. It could lead to even more targeted and effective applications in the future.
That's exciting. So for our listeners who are thinking, okay, this all sounds great, but where do I even start? What are like some key takeaways they can put into practice right away?
First and foremost, remember that BA is all about taking action. It's about understanding how your behavior and your well-being are linked and using that knowledge to create positive change.
It's like that saying, action creates motivation, not the other way around. We've got to get that ball rolling.
Exactly. Another really key takeaway is to focus on those activities that are actually meaningful and enjoyable for you. BA isn't about forcing yourself to do things that you hate. It's about finding those activities that line up with your values and goals.
Right. So it's about, creating a life that feels productive but also fulfilling.
Yeah.
It's not about like pushing yourself to the point of burnout. It's about finding like a sustainable path to well-being.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And finally, remember, BA is a journey. It's not a destination. It's about experimenting, learning what works for you, and adapting as you go. There's no one-size-fits-all approach here.
It's about embracing the process of growth and change and, being kind to ourselves along the way.
Absolutely.
This has been like such an eye-opening conversation. I feel like I'm already starting to like see the world through a BA lens. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's great to hear. It really is amazing how, just shifting your perspective on taking action can have like such a huge impact.
It really is. So as we start wrapping up our deep dive into behavioral activation, I've got a challenge for our listeners out there.
Oh, I like challenges. Let's hear it.
Think of one small, meaningful action that you can take today to activate some positive change in your life.
I love that. And it really doesn't have to be like this massive life-altering step. It could be something as simple as taking a walk, maybe spending some time with people you love,
Yeah.
finally starting that book you've been meaning to read, or even just like taking a few minutes to be mindful.
Exactly. It's all about making those like intentional choices that, over time create that ripple effect leading to, greater well-being and a more fulfilling life.
Yeah, well said. And the important thing is that it's something that really speaks to you, something that you enjoy or that brings you a sense of accomplishment, no matter how small it is. It's those small wins that pave the way for those bigger changes.
Very well said. And remember, BA is a journey, not a destination, right? So it's all about continuing to learn, experimenting, and finding out what works for you.
Exactly. And there are, there are so many resources available to support you on that journey, like books, articles, therapists, coaches, even online communities. You don't have to do this alone.
Yeah, that's such an important thing to remember. We're all in this together, right?
Right.
Well, this has been a really incredible deep dive into behavioral activation. I hope our listeners are feeling as inspired and empowered as I am right now.
Me too. It's been a real pleasure exploring this fascinating topic with you and with all of our listeners.
To our amazing listeners, thank you so much for joining us on this journey of discovery. We really encourage you to keep exploring the world of behavioral activation and to, just embrace the power of action in creating positive change in your lives. Until next time, keep activating.